Another year where Kevin Durant finds himself on a different team. This time, he's heading to Houston, joining the Rockets in a trade that included Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick in the 2025 draft, and 5 future second-round picks. The news actually broke just as KD was being interviewed in New York for Phonetics Fest.
You got traded!
With the 14-time All-Star letting out a cheeky grin. Now, some of you might think that the Rockets gave up too much, that they traded a young dynamic scorer in Green for a KD that is pushing 40. But I would argue that the Rockets very much won this trade. Firstly, Jalen Green is one of those players where the idea of him is better than the actual player. Yes, at times he's cooking and looks unguardable, and his crazy dunks are a sight to see. But the issue with Green is that outside of scoring, he provides you nothing else. Now, this wouldn't be as big of an issue if he was actually a consistent scorer, but he's not. He's one of the most hot and cold players in the league, and it was all on display in the 2025 playoffs. Against the Warriors in the first round, he had one good game in a 7-game series.
Green on the run, rises high and throws it down. Jalen Green with a highlight of the night.
He put up 38 points in a 109-94 win in Game 2. That's it though. That type of output is inexcusable for a player who doesn't offer any playmaking, defense, or rebounding. He's a score-first guard who wasn't scoring. And even when he does score, much of it comes from him just ISOing. He doesn't tend to get buckets in the rhythm of play. Instead, he needs the ball in his hands all the time, which is the worst type of player to have on a team. That ISO ball nonsense can never win you a title, and it disrupts the entire flow of the offense. For a player who came into the league with so much hype and potential, Jalen Green has been a disappointment. When he was drafted, he was seen as this electric guard who could eventually become a good two-way player. He was 6'5", which is tall for a shooting guard. He had elite athleticism, shot 37% from 3 on 6 attempts per game, and shot 83% from the free throw line, all indicators that he could become an even better shooter. His efficiency was good too, having a 61% total shooting percentage, but as time has gone by, it's become very obvious that he just might be a good stats on a bad team type of player. He doesn't have a very high basketball IQ. He's athletic, but not particularly crafty. He relies heavily on his speed and jumping rather than using footwork and skills to create good shots. As a result, you get this incredibly streaky scorer. He has flashes, like how good he looked against the Grizzlies in January of 2025.
There's a man Thompson, ahead to Green, pulling back history. Yes!
Dropping 42 points on 72.2% shooting. But then when the playoffs came around, he was a net negative on the court. In the regular season, it was easy for him to score. In the playoffs, when you're playing the same team over and over again, and they're running proper defensive setups, he just couldn't get buckets. And then when he does get buckets, he doesn't do it in a way that helps the team win. He's actually one of the worst finishers at the rim among all high usage guards, which is quite surprising given how athletic he is. He also hasn't been a great 3-point shooter. So for a guy who relies on scoring, these numbers are simply not good enough. And I told you what the issues are: footwork, balance, and forcing tough shots instead of making the smart play. As we have seen, if your shot isn't falling, there are other ways that you can impact winning basketball. Unfortunately, Green doesn't seem to be able to do any of the other dirty work on the court. He's a guy who looks great in Instagram highlights, but with his current abilities, he is not going to help you get a title. Then, despite being fast and athletic, he just isn't a good defender. He gets caught on screens, he loses focus off the ball. It's so easy to back up this guy, and he just doesn't disrupt plays by being in the lanes. In the 2025 season, his own coach, Ime Udoka, sometimes benched him in the fourth quarter. I mean, that says a lot about where his defense is. And the Rockets have known this for a few years now, because he almost got traded a couple of years ago from Mikal Bridges. So everyone has been aware of his limitations. He looked good in his rookie season and in 2023, but as I stated earlier, it's not a surprise that one of his best years came at a time where the Rockets as a team sucked. So yes, in 2023 he was going crazy, becoming only the 6th player at 20 years or younger to have recorded at least 3 40-point games. He was cooking everyone, but the Rockets were 14th in the West. It's easy to score and play inefficient basketball when your team isn't trying to win games. When you combine all of those factors, you realize why it was necessary to move him for a win-now player like Kevin Durant. KD, despite being an unk, is still a top-tier scorer and one of the best players in the NBA. The Suns were awful as a team, so KD didn't receive as much recognition, but from an individual standpoint, he was doing his job. There's only so much one man can do when he has Bradley Bradley Beal on his team. When KD was healthy, he was literally still one of the best scorers out there. In the 62 games he played, he averaged 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. He shot over 52% from the field and 43% from 3. Jalen Green can be 10 years younger, but he ain't ever hitting these numbers. KD actually started the 2025 season on fire. On October 26th, he hit the 29,000 career point mark, becoming just the 8th player in NBA history to do it. That night, he helped the Suns beat the Mavs and pushed them to an 8-1 start, the best start in the franchise's history, which is crazy to think about given where the Suns finished at the end of the season. But unfortunately, after that fantastic start, the injuries began. In early November, Durant hurt his calf and missed 7 games. Without him, the Suns fell apart, getting 1 win and 6 losses. He came back, but a few weeks later, he sprained his ankle and missed 3 more games. Once again, the Suns struggled, going 0-3 in those games. It became very clear, when Durant doesn't play, the team struggles badly. When he was on the floor, he kept shining. On February 11th, he reached 30,000 career points. Then on March 21st, he scored 42 points and had 8 assists in a win over the Cavs. That made him just one of only 2 players in NBA history, the other one being LeBron James, to score 40 or more points against every single team in the league. You have to understand that KD is a model professional. It doesn't matter how old he is because this man lives, eats, and breathes basketball. He is dedicated to the craft. He basically only spends his time playing basketball or debating people on Twitter. The only concern around him will be injuries. But since he's on a better team, you won't need him going 100% every night. So that should limit the fatigue on his body. There's players like Şengün, Van Vliet, and Thompson around him that will make his life easier. On the Suns, he basically couldn't afford to have a bad game because the team couldn't play defense. It was just him and Booker. There was no point in scoring when they would leak so much on defense. But the Rockets have a better roster and a significantly better coach. And that's the beauty of this trade. The Rockets still maintained many of their best young players and core veterans. Jabari Smith Jr. is still on the team. So is Amen Thompson, Şengün, Tari Eason, and Reed Shepherd. Thompson and Şengün specifically were very important to keep because we saw how valuable they are in the last postseason. Thompson literally transformed from a good athlete to an untouchable piece in any trade after how well he played against the Warriors. He made Steph Curry's life a living hell, and we even got a glimpse into how much better he can get on the offensive end. At worst, he becomes one of the best 3-and-D guys in the league. At his best, he could become a real star. Then you have Şengün, who's coming off a breakout year, and he remains the team's anchor inside. He can play make, he can score, his defense is getting better. He really does look like baby Jokic out there. That series against the Warriors was a great test for the young Rockets team, who hadn't been in the postseason for years. Because anybody can look good in the regular season, but in the playoffs, that's where you see a player's true ability. What we learned from those 7 games is that the Rockets desperately needed scoring. They didn't have a guy who you could give the ball to and he would get you a bucket. Van Vliet did his best, and to be honest, he shot way better than I think anybody expected. Throughout the season, he was shooting very inefficiently, but against the Warriors, he was shooting a lot and shooting well. On many nights, it was him and Curry just trading threes back and forth. But a small point guard cannot be your only go-to bucket getter if you're looking to win a title, especially since we don't know if Van Vliet can even replicate that form again. The Rockets tried running some plays through Şengün, but he was a young guy in his first postseason run. He did well against Draymond Green in moments, but again, he can't be your go-to guy, at least not yet. We even saw Van Vliet yelling at him to wake up at one point in the series. Jalen Green was supposed to be that X factor, that guy that can score when your team is stuck in a slump, but like I stated earlier, he had 1 good game out of 7. Then when you look at the rest of the roster, nobody else on the team is ready for that role. It's too early in Jabari and Thompson's development to rely on those guys to get you buckets in the clutch. Well, now the Rockets have one of the best players you can possibly get if you want a bucket. A 7-foot assassin that moves like a guard. Durant doesn't need a lot of shots to score. He picks smart ones and makes them count. Shooting over 50% from the field and over 40% from 3 is elite. Yep, that's just a normal year for KD. He has played in the biggest games, he's hit the biggest shots, he knows what it takes to win. For a young team like the Rockets, having someone like that in the locker room changes everything. He brings calmness, confidence, and experience. People might say that this sounds cliche, but look at the impact that someone like Van Vliet has had on the team ever since he joined. Then, what makes Durant such a perfect fit for any team is that he doesn't need to dominate the ball to be great. He isn't Jalen Green. He can play off others, space the floor, and take over when needed. He won't slow down the growth of Houston's young players. He'll only help them get better. It's actually so impressive that the Rockets front office were able to add Durant without gutting the future. They didn't make the same mistake that Ishbia and the Suns did. You can't just put together a bunch of big names and expect them to play well together. KD played great for the Suns, but when there's no defense around you, there's not much you can do. He would get buckets, then the next player coming up would just breeze by Beal. That won't be an issue with the Rockets because the team is long, athletic, and already defensively tough. At one point in the 2025 season, they were allowing just 105.1 points per game, which was the 3rd lowest in the NBA. Ime has been crucial in the Rockets becoming a defensive powerhouse. He has emphasized accountability and effort, making sure that this young team understands that a good defense is the foundation for success. He wants to see maximum effort from the guys, and he isn't afraid to let them know when their effort hasn't been good enough. He has also been trying to instill this bad boy identity as he looks to make the Rockets into the modern day version of the bad boy Pistons, a team that is feisty and unapologetic. This plan has been in the works for years. We're just seeing the fruits of it now. At this point, the team has the defensive setup down. It's why they were able to clinch the 2nd seed in the West in the 2025 season. But to get to that next level, they needed a player like KD, someone who not only gives you 30 points a night, but he also gives you scoring when you need it the most. Now Rocket fans don't have to watch Van Vliet chuck a Hail Mary 3 at the end of the shot clock. Durant linking up with Ime is not random either. The two know each other very well from their time in Brooklyn. There is mutual respect between the two as they speak the same basketball language. Then you have Royal Ivy, who is already on Ime Udoka's staff. He's Durant's former teammate and longtime friend. And you even have DJ Augustine, Durant's college teammate at Texas, who was just added to the Rockets front office. These aren't coincidences. They're connections that help set the stage for the trade. Because Houston isn't just getting a superstar, they're building a comfortable winning environment around him. A starting 5 of Van Vliet, Thompson, KD, Jabari, and Şengün is one that will get fans excited. KD is under contract for 1 more year with the option to extend. That gives Houston a perfect window to compete now without messing up their future plans. It was a smart, low-risk move for a team that's ready to take that next step. Because trading for Durant sends a loud message. The Rockets are done rebuilding. They are here to win now. Bringing in someone like KD changes how the team sees itself and how the rest of the league sees them too. Jalen Green has potential, but Kevin Durant is someone who can help now. Even with injuries, he showed last season that he's still elite. He can still do everything you need on the court, from scoring to playmaking to rebounding. He can even defend the rim. He's not just a famous name, he's a true difference maker. And now Houston has the mix it needs. They've got youth, they've got talent, and they have a superstar who knows how to win. The future just became the present. The Rockets aren't waiting anymore. They're ready to compete. To see just how good the team around KD truly is, you have to check out this video right here.